Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hello.
Good evening.
Hope everyone is doing wonderful this week. I am Anna, and this is Total Package Podcast. Yes, you did land on the right channel. We are a group of ladies that get together every Thursday night and talk about whatever we want. Tonight, I am joined by Grims. How's it going, Grims? Where can we find you?
Doing good. You can find me at Quixotic Grims on Instagram. That's usually my easiest place to find me. And if you want my pets, Harvazoobles, give me a follow. How about you, Lady Love?
Hello. You can find me at Facebook under my actual name. That would be Bethany Lowry, or on the Instagram at ladylove_2019. What about you, Ams?
What about
Hi. I'm Ams, also Amber. I'm Amber Maka on Facebook. You can also find me under A Mullen on Instagram. I also have a Redbubble. I'm a freelance artist trying to start out there, so feel free to take a look at my designs. Thanks very much. So what are we talking about today?
art?
Yeah, please, thank you. Yeah, what are we talking about today?
We are actually going to check out technology and social media and how it's come to be and what its effect has been on our lives as a whole. Because I mean, if you think about it, I was born in 1975. I've seen the birth of the personal computer. I've seen, the Facebook coming in and all that, and it's actually really changed my life from what it probably could have been if we had never had it invented. So, it up a little bit today. We're actually going to go into a little bit of a brief history lesson because you can't talk technology unless you go into the history of tech. So, Encyclopedia Britannica defines technology as, and I quote, the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of human life, or as it is sometimes phrased, to the change and manipulation of the human environment. If you ask me, I think that definitely does explain computers. It does manipulate the human environment.
Definitely.
So, just something that adds to the human race or takes away, depending on your view on it.
Very good debate on that one.
Before the personal computer, we had huge mainframe computers that used vacuum tubes and punch cards. These things had less computing power than your watch. Okay. The first substantial computer was called ENIAC, and it took up an entire warehouse. It was 1,800 square feet, and it did one calculation. You could only run one calculation at a time on it, so it was super duper slow. You talk about, your life sitting there fussing at your computers every day.
For 30 second download.
Exactly. How much lag do you have? I'm sorry, I need my porn faster than that.
I want my
what do
movie
you mean
channel.
It takes 25 minutes to boot up?
Holy crap, can't imagine.
It definitely was it was trying. I've done a little research on it a little further back than that, and it's rather sketch. You sit there looking at these big huge computers, and they are nothing like, they put our server rooms to shame.
My dad used to work on them.
The government had internet back then. The internet is old. I was looking it up. It's something like 1950, 1960 that they had internet. Then it was just a bunch of computers hooked up together, and they actually used it for scientific research to share stuff with the UK.
Yeah, they used it during World War II.
Exactly.
Hey, it's amazing what you learn when you watch History Channel.
Exactly. I love History Channel, by the way.
It's not just about aliens?
Nope.
No.
Aliens. No, I will credit aliens. I think the computers are alien technology.
Now, those big computers evolved over time, and they got smaller and smaller and smaller, thanks to going from vacuum tubes down to now we have microchips and microprocessors. Everybody knows of Microsoft. Everybody knows of Apple. In 1975, that long ago, Bill Gates founded Microsoft, and in 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak founded Apple. The Macintosh personal computer, the first one with a graphic interface and a mouse, which is what we all use now, was brought out in 1984. I remember using an Apple Macintosh sitting in school.
Me too.
We
Me
got
too.
one computer. We got one computer into my little elementary school, and I remember all of us sitting there, and they were giving us the lesson on how to use it. And I remember going, I want one. I need one of these.
Of course,
I was
you would
in
be the
love.
one doing that.
course.
Everyone else was probably like, "What is that?"
It was love at first sight. I do have to say, it was love at first sight. So, what was y'all's first delve into the computer life? What was your first computer, and what did you do with it?
There's like, I guess, my connection to computers as a whole, and then what I kind of remember doing with it are kind of two different things, I guess. My dad actually, because I am from California, my dad worked at Apple. He actually used to work under Steve Wozniak, which I found out only a couple years ago because my mom told me that.
Wow.
She,
That's awesome.
Holy crap.
yeah, they used to go like, office parties and stuff like that. And she had told me one time she was there with my dad and that he, addressed my dad by name. Was like, "Hey, Jose, how's it going? What's going on?" And she was like, "Oh, Steve Wozniak, that's just his boss." But she didn't really know who he was. I mean, and I believe her because she is very computer illiterate, and I don't think she would pull that name out of nowhere without actually have met that person. But in terms of
Wow.
so I had Apple computers a lot. I had a lot of I guess if anyone remembers the little old icons where it's like, that rectangle with the little screen and it has the little face in it and it has the little things like I had.
Oh my god,
Yeah, I
yeah.
had that type of computer. We
Yep.
had that in there and we would play. My dad would load all the MS-DOS games. Like I made Gort look for a game, try to see if I could find it. I forget what it's called now, but it's like Ultima or Utopia or something with a U is always I can remember it as. And it was like a weird role-playing style game, but it was like just little, kind of like Link though. It was like a weird, not Link, sorry, Legend of Zelda. Sorry, I called it wrong.
I
But it's
think
kinda
I
like
know
one
what
of
you're
those things.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, Zelda, the
exactly.
main character, right?
Yeah, Zelda, the main character. Yeah, he's so strong with his beautiful luscious hair. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. And one of the other things that I really remember, and I used to do this specifically with computers, my dad had some file loaded onto it where if you threw things away, it would play Oscar the Grouch, and he would sing, "I love trash." I
Nice.
used to
Oh,
bring
wow.
files specifically so I could throw them away to make that trigger. I
Nice.
used to do that a lot. It was one of my favorite things to do.
Oh.
So
awesome.
that's kind of like what I remember from it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I'm kind of similar because my dad, I mean, he's worked with computers. That's been his job, is being a computer scientist. And so we had a home computer. We had one of the old Macintoshes, and I mean, I just used it for games. I never thought of it as for like work purpose. For me, it was there's games on this. They're computer games. And I remember when I went into high school and I got my own personal computer, and I remember going to the old LAN parties where computers were still hooked up to a landline and everything, and I had to know how to take apart my computer and put it back together, and I had to be able to haul everything. So
Wow.
computers have been a part. Yeah, this was before laptops and all that.
Mm.
Had to carry on the big screen, the monitor, CPU, all the cords.
Jeez.
Oh, it was always so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've grown up with computers. They've always been a part of my life. What about you, Ams?
Oh, same thing. Yeah, I'm trying to remember my dad. I think we've always had PCs. So we had that big, I don't even know what model it was, but it was just that big, beige box that you had with like the classic keyboard, all the same color. And then we had that as our home computer. And then I remember when I was in middle school, we had, I don't remember the year or the model. It was just a computer to me, but we had in our computer rooms at school, the big the bubble like Macintosh computers with the handles on top.
Yep.
I remember those vividly. And also
Yeah.
I also remember when I was in school, we actually did like computer teaching programs, and they taught me how to type. It was so cool. And they're like, like it was more than just like the games that you can find online, like you type to, kill zombies or whatever. It was like, typing these sentences and these specific words over and over and over again so that you would, learn how to. I've always been like computers have like always been a part of my life in every like little teeny way. So yeah, it's kind of like natural for me. I mean, I'm still not adept at them, but I'm not a novice. So
I remember doing that in elementary school, and as I was leaving elementary school, they got those like colorful bubble computers. And I remember being so jealous that I didn't get to use those as I was leaving elementary school.
They came different colors too. Ours were in
my first computer. Now you guys are making me feel so old, because my first computer that I had at home was a Commodore VIC-20. It literally was a keyboard that you plug up to the TV, and you plug cartridges in the back so that you can play games, and you have a cassette drive that you can save your games on. The games were no, God, I wish I did. The games, yes, a audio cassette, yes. The games were, the one I remember vividly is The Count, and all it is it's words, it's a whole story, and then you have to give directions in 2-word commands, like go left, yes, go left, take key, open door, use key, things like that. I never beat the games. I had 2 or 3 of them, and they were the biggest pain in the ass, but I would sit there for hours playing with this, and then you'd go, okay, I've got to save it. So you go save game, and they would say hit record on your cassette drive, and you have to hit record on that cassette drive, and you'd wait, and it would run the audio tape, and it would record and record and record where you were at. And then when you go to reload your game, you go, load game, and you have to hit play, and it would find that game on that cassette tape. So it was so cool. Now you guys are making me feel like way old.
I'm surprised it was a cassette tape and not something like a floppy disk or something like that.
I remember.
No, they didn't have none of the Commodores used floppies yet. They all used the cassette drives. Floppy disk drives didn't come out. They were available, but they didn't really come of age until later on. Your computers didn't have the floppy drives.
I remember the big
for Apples,
floppy disks.
Apples. Yep, Apples actually, the first Apples, the ones that you guys used in school and stuff, you had a driver disk that to get the computer going, and there was always one computer. They're in a sequence. All the computers in the computer labs are in a sequence where one computer runs the OS, which is the operating system, and then the rest of them run off of that. It's like a little daisy chain type deal.
Yeah. Yep. That one computer in the corner that the teacher like commands, and then it goes to all the other computers.
Exactly.
No.
Oh, God, yeah, I'm just
I remember the really big, like the big floppies. I remember those.
Yep.
Because we always had.
And everybody had
those.
one. Yeah, and what it is you go into the computer lab. And you would have one floppy that you were given, and that was your save floppy, and you had to write your name on it, and it was kept in the computer room so that you didn't mess it up. And if you put a magnet anywhere near it, you'd fuck it up completely.
We had boxes. We had boxes of them here at the house. Like my dad had boxes of them. He used them for work.
Oh my God.
Oh wow. I thought I was in heaven when they came out with the 3 3/4. I mean the 3.5. Hard disk. I was like, oh wow, and now you have terabyte. Now you have terabyte hard drives. I'm going, how do you fill up a terabyte? I don't. What is it? How much is a terabyte?
I know. Those little SD cards that you can get. You can fit a terabyte on that now. It still blows my mind.
Actually, for Apple, I think my iCloud backup is 2 terabytes. So.
Oh wow!
Because the 200 wasn't enough. I take too many photos of my dog and cats. Like I have problems.
All those raw photos, yeah.
All that Instagramming.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's one of those things where you go, I remember when 8 gigabyte was was
lot.
fast, and then the 64-bit came out, and you're going, oh wow, the 64-bit gaming systems, you're going, yes, oh my gosh, look at the graphics, and now you've got stuff that's coming up and it looks real. You're you're watching these video games and you're going, that looks real, that looks like a movie. People shot a movie, right?
Oh, do you remember the old printers that had the the edges that when it came out you had to like the serrated edges?
Oh yeah, because it's twist. It's
yes, and you we would take them. Yes, and then you would get them and you like rip them off and you like twist them together and like do like a chain.
I would do the fold over, fold,
yes.
fold,
yes.
fold, and then it would be like this twisting.
Oh, that was the thing. Holy crap!
I do not still just said with straw covers. I'll sit there and I'll do that. It's similar. It's the similar.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Neuro just said that Bill Gates once said that you'll never need more than 256 kilobytes of memory.
Wow.
He's choking on those words now. Yeah, those dot matrix printers, when I started my job 16 years ago, there was a dot matrix printer that sat next to me that my boss used to print up stock reports and print up inventory reports. I hated that thing. It was right next to me, and it would go beep, 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 beep. I was like, oh gosh. When we finally were told, okay, we're not going to support that anymore, you have to go to the laser printer, I was like, I grabbed that dot matrix printer and I said, can I do whatever I want to with this? And they're like, yeah. I took it outside and bashed it. I was like, I beat it on the ground.
Oh, you
I raged that damn printer. It was perfect.
I
had to. That thing was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was going to actually ask this earlier when you guys were talking about school. So who, of course, played Oregon Trail?
Oh, I absolutely
Of course.
I didn't get too far, though.
You died of dysentery.
Was that really a good educational tool, or is that just a reason to play video games?
I think it was just the teacher's way of being like, get out of my hair, go away, and play this supposed educational game.
Yeah, it's like playing a movie in movie day at school in class.
It was the teacher's way of saying, I don't want to fucking deal with you guys.
It was educational at first because none of us knew what the hell dysentery was, and we all had to go to the library and look it up. We know we did. Everybody was like, what the hell is dysentery? Why did I die of this? What is this thing? I know everybody did, because I remember half of my class looking it up and then the other half of them going, this is what it is. And it was like, oh God, that's awful.
It was more, I think, a thing of who would die first. Like, because we would put each of our own names in, whoever would 5 or whatnot. It's like, so, fucker, you died first. That's like kind of more what we
doubt.
Like, that's what I said.
We once, I remember it, we had a sub and we were playing Oregon Trail, and she was like, when we were going hunting, she's like, don't kill anything. You can go fish, but no hunting. And we're like, how the fuck are we supposed to eat? We can't hunt. What do you mean?
Yeah, no doubt. For them berries.
Yeah. No. Like, I don't think there's a foraging.
No doubt.
Oh my God.
Oh, she would get, because I remember she would get so mad. She's like, what are you doing? We're like, we're hunting for food because we're hungry.
Yeah. dying.
Oh my gosh. Now, I was telling y'all that the government had the internet long before we all did. Those bitches. When it got commercialized, though, in the 80s, it started the whole rabbit hole heading downhill, and then we ended up with AOL and all the other providers. What was it, EarthNet or whatever, that you'd always get the disc in the mail to, and it was like, oh, we'll give you dial up for like $9 a month or something like that. You guys all remember, right? AMS, I know you're young, but it was this thing that you used to do. You had to hook up your phone, and it was annoying. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
First.
I actually have.
And
Luckily, I grew up, as Ants would say, lived in a rich house. We had 2 phone lines.
Oh yeah,
So we were able
had
to-
only one.
So privileged.
I
Yeah.
plug in my
With the
dad's
splitter on it.
job.
Y'all had a splitter? What? Those existed?
Yeah, I bought it. It was a 2-way split. I found one at the store. I walked by it. I went, wait a minute, what is that? And I was like,
You mean a
oh,
Circuit
shit,
City?
I'm taking that home with me.
Was it a Circuit City?
Radio Shack.
Oh,
Radio
Oh,
Shack.
there you go.
whoa!
To the pass. Nice.
Yep.
So I actually have some facts about America Online. So it did start off as an online service, but it started as a business called PlayNet in 1985. And then it became Quantum Leap, which was short for Q-Link, I guess, that Neuro in the chat actually has just mentioned, which then, of course, became AOL in that sense. So they changed, they were originally with Apple, and then they parted ways, and that's when they became AOL or American Online. So at one point, they did, I think, their marketing in terms of getting everyone to buy into this AOL platform was what they had called carpet bombing, where 50% of all CDs produced at one point worldwide had the AT&T logo. I'm not, oh, sorry, the AOL logo.
AOL logo.
And so it was just like everywhere.
Wow.
That's
Everywhere.
probably, if you remember, it was just like every CD-ROM, everything of that nature was just AOL and just added in as an extra feature. And that's how they were really getting everyone in. It was also the whole concept of having a free trial membership and then getting you sucked in afterwards in that sense.
Well, it definitely worked for
Right.
me and my friends because I remember being at my friend's house
Yeah.
and that's when we were first experimenting with it. We were just, both on AOL and talking to some other friend, across the neighborhood, just, testing out the emojis or just saying, hey, this thing's cool. It's called AOL Instant Messaging. How are you?
Yeah.
We can talk on the phone.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually kind of interesting to think about because like AOL had only come out in 1997, which for me was just right before high school ended. And I remember that being like a huge thing in high school because we had AOL and being able to communicate back and forth with each other. It was almost kind of like if you didn't do it or have your AOL account, like what are you doing? And you wanted to leave you had to leave your away status on there. So like, I'm not on my computer. I need to leave my away status for people to know that I have a busy life and I can't be there to talk to you. At this moment.
And now we're at the point where we're like, don't talk to me. Just leave me alone.
I'm done.
Pretty much.
I'm done with civilization.
Done with socialization. Here we
Oh
go.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
What's this socializing? No, I remember all that.
I think that also brought in a lot with AOL chat as well, being able to get into chat rooms and communicate. And one of my coworkers that said ASL, you scandalous conversations that you're having. And probably it's not most the best thing that happened for young kids at that time frame, but it's all learning that.
ASL, age, sex, location.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. That sucks. You guys realize in 1997, okay, I had a 2-year-old. I was married.
Oh my god, what was I, 6? No, wait, yeah. I think
Yeah.
6 or 7. Yeah, there you go. I was a kid.
Yeah, you were not much older than my son.
Oh my god.
No, yeah, I remember. That's wow. Okay, I'm old. I'm done.
As Anna walks away.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh my gosh. So the internet went from that slow dial-up with the crap to high-speed DSL. And I remember my first high-speed DSL router. It was from Verizon, and it was a box. It was about this big. I was like, oh, this is going to be super fast. It wasn't. Not compared to today's standards. It was far from. It was a little bit faster than dial-up, but it still ran off of your phone line. But you could talk on the phone while you had your internet up. So that was the big thing. It was like, oh my gosh, we have, I can talk on the phone and I can look at, stuff on the internet. But it's still, it would take forever for you to freaking download a picture. Like now we can download entire photo albums and entire movies in a matter of, a minute or so. But then it was like, 20 minutes later, you're going, oh, look, there's that picture I was waiting on. Okay. All right.
A 1.
The one, yeah. Well, now, and then the internet grew and grew and grew, and finally we got Wi-Fi because the internet got fast enough, and we could do Wi-Fi where it's over the airwaves.
Mhm.
And
Truly
if you ask
changed
me,
everything.
yeah, if you ask me as somebody who grew up with, the Commodore VIC-20 and the two-word games and shit, and the Apple Macintosh with the big huge network, to have Wi-Fi where I can just go, oh, so what was the name of that book? And just open up my phone and go, oh, Google. All right, there we go. Got it. It's beautiful. It's completely what I was wishing for when I was 8, sitting in that library in school, but which I think is
looking at what
big
dysentery
plus.
means.
Jesus Christ.
No, now you can download
In
the
the-
Tell game on your phone. I actually did do that and play that game on my phone. It's not as good as it.
I haven't downloaded it.
Oh yeah,
It's
I got
not.
a mobile now.
Yeah, it's on mobile. You can die at any point that you want now.
I mean, just the idea of I just remember back, 15 years ago, you would have your phone, your iPad, your iPod, your camera, anything else you needed with you. And now it's just your phone. You can do all of that with your phone.
Said this before, and people will go home for their phone over their wallet. They do.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
well, your phone can
something.
be your wallet now. Your phone
Yeah.
can be everything. So
Yeah.
now I get it. Yeah,
Except your driver's license. That's the only thing it really doesn't keep
Oh,
hold
yeah.
of.
they'll find a way.
But
They
you
will find
can
a way.
Sure it will.
But you can put a picture. You can put a picture of your driver's license on your phone just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Just
No.
in case.
Don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know how secure that is. I'm glad people still check the
Yeah.
physical cards. So
Yeah.
yeah,
My job, we have to have the actual ID for it, so no photos.
yeah, exactly.
You
Like,
can't
you
see
could just
any
gotten
more
that from
than-
anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I wish my job actually kept that kind of security. So now that we're back up into the Wi-Fi, internet, and all that stuff, then we come into the history of mobile phones.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first mobile phone any of you guys had experience with? Or pager? I have to start with pagers because that was the first.
My dad had a pager. I remember that vividly.
My dad had one too.
Yeah, I had
Numeric
a-
or alphanumeric?
Oh God,
God, I can't
do
remember.
I remember? I had no idea. I think it was alphanumeric.
I think his was maybe alphanumeric. I can't remember.
I remember seeing words on the screen, so I think that's the right term for it. So yes.
No, I don't think my dad was. I think my dad was just a number that would pop up.
His was kind of
That's the numeric one, yeah.
his was kind of fancy because the screen kind of lit up like a Game Boy does. So like it has the backlit
Oh, cool.
LED, not LED. It wasn't. I don't think it was an LED, but the backlit light. So it could be like dim, but then you could also press a button and go, oh, okay, what does it say? So his was like I think a little bit more fancy, I guess.
My dad had
Fancy
like a
pager.
basic. My dad had a basic pager, so my sister and I could get a hold of him if we ever needed to.
Okay. I
Well, like I was telling you guys, our first pager was a Mountain Dew giveaway. You had to turn in UPC codes from 3 or 4 6-packs of Mountain Dew. And I drank that much Mountain Dew, pregnant with my son, by the way, in order for us to get the pager so that I could have contact with my husband at all times in case I went into labor. Unfortunately, we never had to use it for that because I had my son on a day that my husband was home. But it was one of those things where it was just a little numeric pager. You got a year's service for free, plus you got the pager, and it was like $99 a year for service. I would kill to pay $99 for a year of service for my cell phone now. I'd kill to pay $99 a month for service on my cell phone now. And it would just be fantabulous,
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have a pager, Grims?
No, I don't think anyone really had. If they did, I just don't remember it much. I was the first one in terms of that I remember just getting a smartphone, which I got, not smartphone, a cell phone in general, which I had to buy myself at 18 because I was driving to college and I was driving past a men's prison where I had lived to get to college. And it's like, I can't be breaking down on the side of the road. I got it because I felt like that's what I needed. But it was just a basic flip phone. I paid for minutes. I started using it more for text messaging and stuff. So my friends more so had them, but I didn't technically have a need for them until I was driving and going to college. But like my mom didn't have one till much, much later. My grandparents didn't even have one. Like, it just wasn't anything that was, surprisingly, considering the technology in my family, it wasn't just the big push until much later.
Hmm. Yeah, my first phone was a Nokia. It was a little Nokia flip phone. It had the extendable antenna. It was like I remember it so well. And it had this cute little case because I was I think 8 or 9 at the time. And my mom lent it to me so that she could keep in contact with me if I ever needed to call her in emergencies and whatnot. And it had this cute little like powder blue stuffed bear on it. So it was like cute, like, meant for a kid. It was like the most adorable thing. Uh-huh. And that was my first phone. And then once I turned 16, my parents went like, okay, we think you're responsible enough. We're going to give you your own phone. I remember it was from Sprint. It was called the Katana. And it was a flip phone. It was pink.
Yes.
You remember that?
That was Russell's first phone. Russell's phone. He had a Katana, but he had the black one. And he loved that phone.
He had the pink one.
I was gonna say, if he had a pink one, it would not surprise me.
Really great. Yeah, that phone was good. I put it through its paces. In fact, that's the one thing I miss about smartphones nowadays.
We heard us in the background.
Now, would it surprise all of you ladies to know that the very first cell phone was actually mobile phone was built and constructed and used in 1949?
Whoa!
No,
it ran off
World War II.
Yep.
World War II.
Yep. It ran off of waves and it worked like a walkie-talkie. I was reading this today and I went, "You're freaking kidding me!" You had to press a button to talk and then you let go to hear, and it was run by AT&T, which that I do believe that AT&T has been in the mix the whole time because they've been in the mix forever.
It was used for the military. It was a military use.
Yep.
That's
again.
It was
History Channel.
It was 80 pounds. Can you imagine putting an 80-pound phone in your back pocket?
That's mobile.
That's why it was a backpack. They had a whole backpack for it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The first, now we're all talking about our first phones. They were all analog. Now they're all run on digital, but they used to be analog phones. The first analog phones actually came out in Tokyo, Japan in 79, which I was thinking that's way too early. But when you think about it, in the 80s, you had the brick phones that people had that, they were, what was it, hot tub time machine? You see the guy skiing down the slope with the big brick on him, and he's got the backpack module or whatever. Yeah. That sounds like I don't know. I had a boss in high school my senior year. I worked at a real estate agency, and she had a car phone in her Jag. And I thought, oh my gosh. And she would call me from her car phone, and she'd be like, "This is very expensive. So I've got to get it to you. So you got to take this down really quick." And I could hardly understand her. And I kept going, why do people want these things? It just doesn't sound right. Of course, a few years later, I had one, but not the big brick, but I ended up with one of the first AT&T phones. So
I had one of the Nokias.
And the call quality sucked on analog. It really did. All of us were stupid for thinking that it sounded really good. At least somebody thought that it could always sound better. Yeah, somebody had the idea that it's gonna sound better, so they developed digital. And that actually released in Finland in 91. I thought for sure that digital released a lot later than that, and it was only 2 gig. You thought that your phone was slow, sitting on 3G and 2G network, and it was horrendous from what I was reading, and I'm going, 2G. Oh dear Lord, why? I would be like, no. Imagine running Facebook on that.
Couldn't.
Load up
God,
Facebook
no.
on that sucker, and you're going, oh
Yeah.
gosh.
No.
Be
An
able to
hour,
take
hour
it.
hour
Facebook
later, you
living
get
on
to
it.
see a status.
Yeah. It's, and when you talk about cell phones, everybody now thinks of going on their Facebook, going on their Instagram, or going on Twitter or whatever, or hitting YouTube, watching videos, seeing what's going down. If
It's
it
your-
wasn't for,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's your way to communicate.
If it wa-
now. It just is like you're communicating
yeah,
with everyone.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Grims, people will come back home for their phone. Forget the wallet. I can live without that for a day. I can just use my phone for Google Pay or Apple Pay or whatever, if I want to buy lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and to think all of this started with big, huge warehouse-sized computers
Mhm.
where you had to take a punch card and put it into a slot and wait for the computer to calculate one calculation.
Mm-hmm.
They really
And
do
then you had to
advance so quickly
translate it.
too. Like the amount of advancement in these past just couple of decades, if you really think about it, is mind blowing. It's hard to think about and believe. You went from these basic computers to now we have them in the palm of our hand and just
We have them on our wrists.
yeah on our wrist now too. It's so incredible to think about. And now that we're going to I don't know about you, but I'm really interested in quantum computing, quantum computers going that small to where you're using electrons themselves as gates is mind blowing. Is amazing to think about.
Well, a lot of the things that actually live in our future now are actually a lot from sci-fi in the sense. It's like, can we make this a reality? Think of Star Trek kind of influencing a lot of stuff of that nature. Or I think it was Star Trek, if they had any kind of comms on their wrists.
Yeah.
There was when Samsung
It was
watching,
they did the
talking.
they did the
from it.
communicators and they would flip open. Yep.
There's an old Samsung commercial for when the first Samsung watch came out where they had showed essentially it was all sci-fi or fantasy style watches. They had Star Trek as one of them. I remember Dick Tracy watch was one of them. Another one being the Power Rangers comm. That was when I was excited. But they went through all these iterations kind of showing you this is the future. And it's all like, it's not the future. It's now. And it's really amazing to see that how technology is almost this idea. You just need the ability to be able to see in the future in that sense, and just you can make it your own reality, which is then where sci-fi movies like Terminator may come in here and be a little bit scary for us. So that's a whole other thing. But another one that's kind of interesting is AT&T had a lot of commercials too back in the 80s, and they had a lot of things that they actually put into effect as well, like video communication. I don't know if any of you remember the old commercial where someone was like on a payphone and then they were video conferencing, which now to us is like
the
Skype.
Jetsons.
Yes,
The Jetsons.
exactly. Conferencing with each other, doing video conferencing. Was it? I think even a lot of like Back to the Future, although seemed outlandish, being able to do the pizza getting bigger, or being able to do the conferencing, or being able to choose your channel in that sense, where it's not just the little dial tone or whatnot, but being able to speak to the TV and they put whatever it is. It really is amazing how much that future is only our creation is what means we can get to that point. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, then
No,
where's
you're
our
good.
flying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where's our flying cars and
Yeah.
hoverboards? We're
It's
on
still
now.
there.
We're
They're
almost
trying.
there.
Hoverboard
Look
doesn't exist. They created one at one point. It's just, I mean, is it?
Yep.
Some of these things, whether they're really legit enough for us to use, is
Or
probably
what is
the
it?
second half
The
of
the
it.
shoes. The shoes you just slip it on and it like instantly like fits your foot.
They made those too.
Right, right.
Yeah, they came out with it. They tried. They've been trying. Now, as I said, is it legit? Is it an actual need? Do we need? No.
Now, let me ask you guys, does AI scare you, artificial intelligence? Does the idea of AI scare you, maybe taking over the world, doing the whole, Terminator thing, becoming Skynet? Does it scare you?
Yes and no. It's a mixed bag. It just depends on like how we do it. It's like raising a child, I think, in a way. It's you really just have to teach them the right things and go about it the right way. It's just how do you give something that's not humanity? I think that's the biggest hurdle And that's the main concern, is that I did hear that it was, I forget which company funded it, but they did create Ascension AI, who had made their own language because they thought English was just not efficient.
Yeah,
they just went, no, I'm just going to start using this.
They saw what was going on, and these two AI had created their own language, and it was like it wasn't like it was a completely different language. It was like socks, cat, dog, and it was all these words that didn't make any sense together as a sentence, but it made sense to the two AI. And they looked at this and they went, we have to end this experiment now because this has gotten out of control. And the scientists actually got scared by these two systems talking to each other like that, because they were developing their own sentience. And they said, nope, we're pulling the plug.
Well, if you kind of start playing with the idea, I guess, if in terms of bringing in something like Marvel, you got Ultron versus Jarvis in that sense of one being put in to be an intelligent thing, but it has been designed to be the more helpful, versus the other one that was intended to be helpful, but then saw the problem and then unfortunately calculated its own problem, or the solution to its problem that's probably not the best solution, which was to eradicate humanity. So it is not. It is a possibility, and it is a very dangerous thing to do. But the problem is human nature. We want to know. We want to see it happen. We want it to happen, and it's not going to. It's probably going to happen. But there's so many positive things and so many negative things. Like I even think of back on what's that one movie with Robin Williams where he's
Bicentennial Man.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a robot. He's an AI. He has attachment. I mean, hell, AI itself with the kid Haley Joel Osment, he has an attachment as a robot and things of that nature. It's can we? Do we have a right to even do that?
Well,
I mean,
the Will Smith movie, AI, the Will Smith movie,
iRobot.
iRobot. Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's also. The newest video
if
game.
If you look at places like Tokyo and Japan and places like that, they have the technology and they're using it. You go into a McDonald's, there's not a person working there in the front. They don't take your order. You go to a machine, and they, you never interact with another person. It's all done
now
through
they have.
AI.
Now they're coming up with neural nets. They don't even know how these neural networks work, but they work. And it's speeding up the computations, and it's speeding up AI's intelligence, which is another thing that is becoming problematic with the scientists. The scientists are getting nervous, but they keep developing more and more and more. So I'm wondering when they're going to call it quits and say, yeah, I think we've got enough artificial intelligence, or if they're just going to keep going.
Well, I hate saying this, but actual humans are kind of stupid, and maybe we need AIs to come in and go,
exactly.
You guys are being stupid, and you're going to kill yourselves.
Well, here's what I think, and I think this is kind of an important thing when it comes to AI, is that we humans are so concerned about legacy and whatever mark we leave behind in this world. And I think AI are the next step. They're the next step in human evolution. They're the next. They are the next generation. They'll be able to go into the stars. They won't have to worry about age. They don't have to worry about keeping continuity with their bodies, or have to worry about decay. I mean, I feel like they're the next step. They're still us. They're our product. It's just how that's going to happen. We just don't know yet.
Do you think that it could also be in a potential of a fear of dying, in a sense? Like some people want to look for ways to live forever. And if AI can be the answer to that, for us to, once again, going back to Marvel, what's that one dude that as a computer himself? I can't remember what is, not Zemo.
Uploads his conscious into
and then
like living into the computer.
Like living forever. And I think it's almost that fear of death of what that next step is. And if you can live forever and have that mind in there, and if AI is the way to put yourself into that personality, do you die? Are you then forever? Are you still the same person?
And there's also, what's the other movie?
Yeah, it just came out too. Yeah, the older
not
guy.
Not long ago, and
a younger version of himself.
When he falls in love, it's called Her. You guys talking about Her?
No.
Where he falls in love with Siri?
No, it's a female, and she's like an AI, and at the end, she's like put into a computer or something.
Is that
Lucy?
Something,
something like
yeah,
that?
I think
Where
something
she has
like that,
the
yeah.
eyes, the big eyes.
Oh,
all that stuff.
yeah.
You talking
Yeah.
about Alita?
Alita.
That's Bionic.
Hold on.
Alita.
Yeah.
No,
Alita,
It's Alita.
I think it's the same actress who plays Black Widow. Scarlett
talking about Ghost in the
Johansson.
Shell?
Lucy?
I can't remember.
Or if you're talking about Ghost in the Shell, I mean, I should know that
No,
one.
I don't know if it's Ghost in the Shell. Maybe
But-
Lucy. I can't remember. I just remember it was one of those movies where like her conscience was put into the computer.
Yeah, the
think I love
Lucy
Ghost in the
was like
Shell.
that. Her conscience was put into the computer by the drug or whatever that they had injected her.
Mhm.
Injected
Yeah,
into her
that was
she
it.
had into her. Yep, and it had a
Well, there's a few comments in
that
here
one
that
was good.
I'll read as
They're
well.
like, what are they trying to figure?
Yeah. The first is Neuro. He has a lot to say. The technologies is unfettered now because AI is helping design future tech, and AI works much more quickly. It scares him because greedy I'm not gonna say, can't say that word. I don't know how to say it. Tyrannus. I don't know why I'm not saying that right.
Yeah,
I guess humans control AI, and the control of the AI tech develops, and it can enslave the common or poor masses with the technology. And that AI is already being used in medical industry to develop life extension techniques. Soon, AI will also help the uber wealthy live 2 to 3 times longer than the middle class. So essentially,
Of course,
again, being able.
Well, but
to
I mean, if you also look at the flip side of how AI is helping, I mean, we're getting better technology with prosthetic limbs, with being able to help those with brain, issues with the brain, with other being able to help with other body parts. I mean, just look at what 3D printing has done. And if you look at 3D printing, that's kind of considered an AI technology, how much that's helped. I mean, you're able to, they're looking at being able to print stem cells to help, those with MS, fibromyalgia, all of that. So, I mean, there is the flip side to being the good part of AI.
Yeah.
Did y'all watch the Jeopardy episodes with Watson when they put Ken Jennings and another guy up against Watson? Watson's supercomputer that has all he is he's just a bunch of servers hooked up together, and he has pretty much the intelligence of the world at his tips, and it's a computer. And I call him a he because he is a he. To me, he almost developed a personality type deal. But he actually did extremely well on Jeopardy, where you had to, all the answers have to be in the form of a question. He was taught that all the answers had to be in the form of a question for Jeopardy. That's all he was taught. He was handed like Google to go through everything. Watson now is being used by the medical industry, and he is making searches and things like that for doctors instantaneous. Doctors will put in symptoms, and Watson can pull them up instantaneously. It's like,
I think I heard about that.
And it's one of those things where when it first, and I think he did the Jeopardy thing,
it was
4 or 5 years ago,
90s.
something like that. Yeah, and that
was
a big
like
thing.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
No, it was like
Jennings would
I
be
wanna say
sooner.
It was like early.
Okay.
As that guy that was on Jeopardy forever,
Yeah.
Then again, 90s at times to me feels like it was just a few years ago, and then I remember.
You're right, 2 decades.
Well,
2020.
Well, let me ask you guys: who has an Amazon Echo?
We do.
My parents do.
We do too. Okay, or a Google Home? I guess that's what they're called.
Yeah, that we have.
Okay. Does it bother you that device sitting in your house is listening to every conversation you have? Now, granted, it's only listening for the wake-up word, but it's listening.
I am mixed feelings about it. I mean, we don't have one. Gort doesn't like it. Doesn't want to deal with any of that type of stuff. I actually disabled Siri off of my phones too, for various reasons in that sense. But
I mean, because if you think about it, your phone does the same thing. I mean, how many times have you talked about something, and then you pull up Facebook, and how many ads you have for that one thing, and you're like, what the fuck?
It's bad enough when you're web searching and it pulls it over. But yes, the speaking of it, it's not so much that I'm afraid that someone is listening to it. Because I mean, really, if they want to listen to my life, let's come on to this. You can catch me on the Total Package podcast. Feel free to follow me with a like and subscribe. Like, honestly, they can listen to it. But the technological side, like, I don't need them to be feeding me the information. I think that's the portion I don't like, is the feeding it. But once again, 1984, that whole concept, like, I should be caring that someone's watching me. But nowadays, do we? At what point do you do safety versus privacy and all that stuff? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Exactly. Like, if someone wants to see me naked, that's all you. If you want to get off on it, that's how I feel. So, like, I'm flattered. I'm really flattered.
You want to see all this flab here? Go ahead. You want to see me?
We have
reading when I get home.
We have a running joke in the house. We have a running joke here because I have an Alexa device that sits in my kitchen, and there's a lot of conversations that happen in the kitchen, as with a lot of. My kids and I, we always sit there and we go, well, Bezos is probably enjoying this conversation right now. And then we'll ask Alexa whether or not she is working for Jeff Bezos. And she will not reply. She will never reply to that question.
It was actually funny. So go ahead, Anna. Sorry.
And we will sit there and we'll go, hi Bezos, how's it going? You know, and I wish that I could change Alexa's name to Bezos, because it would definitely be freaking cool.
we were watching an Expedition Unknown. If anyone ever watched that with Josh Gates, awesome show.
Oh yeah.
And he actually was doing an episode. I can't remember what it was, but he jokingly was like, Alexa, what's da 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 da. And our Alexa actually responded.
Well, there was that whole Burger King commercial. No, there was a Burger King commercial, and they purposely had said, Alexa, tell me about the Whopper, or something like that. And so people were upset because it was triggering Alexa so that it would say in people's houses on it. And they designed it to do that, to say what they wanted to do, and it became a problem.
And we know he did that on purpose. And we were cracking up laughing because it was so funny. Because we were like, that asshole.
Yeah, it's interesting how much then it becomes meta, in a sense of that if you have those things and if they can make this control happen, then now we're giving more power to someone else, to us in that sense, and how comfortable are we with that?
Yeah,
but. Exactly. In a counter argument, which I love to do, so as I think I've spoken before, I love the Try Guys, and they did this episode series about growing old, and one of them was utilizing this technology to help elderly people in living and being able to live on their own still.
Oh, the Saturday Night Live?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Have you ever seen the Saturday Night Live of Alexa?
No, but
it's so fun.
But that it still can be helpful. That they can use Alexa to, turn lights on, turn lights off, give them updates, things of that nature. Order food, because things like Uber Eats and DoorDash can work with it in that sense. And that they found that it actually, some people, as long as they've adapted to this technology, it is cheaper for them to still live at home comfortably and use these services than it is to fork over thousands of dollars living in these care facilities and things of that nature, where that money could just go back into being at home. I guess it makes you more inside and more sheltered and things like that. But I guess you can order a lift. Hey, Alexa, order me a lift to blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm sure it's all there.
Oh, yeah. No, what I was saying is that
you can hook up that Lifeline thing too, that little medallion that they keep showing you, I've fallen, I can't get up. You can hook that up. Yeah, you can hook that up to it as well, so that it will call Life Alert for you, or it will notify you. If it hears it go, it'll notify your family or whatever.
What I was saying is Saturday Night Live did a skit about Alexa, but it was called like Alexa Gold or Silver, and it was the older generation using it and how it responds to like any name, like version of kind of like Alexa. It was just really funny, and it had like you could get like one that had the you know, when they ramble on. It is so funny. It is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sure if we just approach
We
it
have
in
the
a
computer.
safe way, as long
Go
as
ahead.
we approach it,
Yeah.
in a careful way. The same thing we do with like medical science. As long as we like just hit every single instance and make sure that we progress in a natural and also positive way, I don't think we should have any problems in the future with it as mankind.
Hopefully, if we keep an eye on it, yeah, we just can't let it start developing its own language and take over the world and become Skynet.
Yeah, let's avoid that. I don't want Terminators. No thanks.
Nope, not at all. So we have the computers, we have the Wi-Fi, we have the internet, we have everything. Enter the social medias.
Is that me?
That's you, sweetie. That's you.
I've already started talking about AOL and all its craziness, which is kind of like, I guess, the beginning of social media as we kind of know it, just because it brought us together, forcing that communication and going through with it. The next big step that I can necessarily remember was MySpace being like the big next one. Now it was created in 2003, but actually launched January 2004, and it actually started as a side project for a marketing company called Everse. So MySpace from 2005 to 2008 was the largest social network site in the world. You could customize it. You can put your own photos and videos and who's your friend and make your first friend Tom and all that type of stuff. Eventually, in April of 2008, Facebook, which is the next one, had taken over as for unique visitors worldwide from it. So MySpace was mostly data storage was what they originally wanted to do, but then they had seen that being able to bring it as a communication network is kind of where they had switched over. And then of course we got the MySpaces for today. But of course they declined and didn't keep up with the strategies as some of the current social medias have, by focusing mostly on entertainment and music. So they put a lot of focus on musicians uploading their own stuff, their own video, their own music, and kind of encouraging that communication. So although around, they just weren't going with the masses. That's really a niche type thing, and it just wasn't going to hold up with it. And then, of course, they have MySpace Records to focus on music, MySpace TV to be able to upload videos of them singing songs, and it just didn't really stick with it. I guess at one point, Justin Timberlake had bought out on it, too, to really go with
I think so. I wish that Facebook would do something like the landing page on MySpace where you could actually put like your own song or, pick a song to play as soon as somebody hit your page or, something like that. I think that's one of the things I loved about MySpace was you could really personalize that page so much just for you. And with Facebook, it's a little bit limited as far as you can't put a song that'll play as soon as somebody hits your page. You can't put like a slideshow that'll play as soon as somebody hits your page. But, I loved MySpace. I remember when I first got my MySpace page, I thought it was the best thing in the world. And I got my MySpace page because my sister, who was 10 years older than me, told me, you got to get a MySpace. I was like, excuse me? What? I got to get a what? What is a MySpace?
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, it's all the customization.
You had like your own like theme song, and you had like an active wallpaper too. I feel like Tumblr kind of does that now.
I never had a MySpace.
Oh,
I'm probably one of the few out there who didn't have a MySpace.
You didn't have to debate for your top 8 friends?
I did not know the struggle on MySpace. I remember I had a live journal.
Yeah, that was around those times too. That was it, because you could also do like journaling and things of that nature on there as well.
I thought I was so, depressing and emo.
Bethany,
like
you
with
had
it.
You had that public online, right? Your live journal was publicly online?
Yeah, I didn't realize that until
don't think that it's disappeared. You can go to the Wayback Machine and still find it.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
Oh my
It was.
Yeah,
don't
we
read
no
it because.
longer have secrets.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Neural
I mean, it
data.
wasn't like It was just me like talking about crushes and shit like that.
I try to. I had a live journal. I tried to like talk about the animes that come out and try to review them, and seem like I was actually kind of interesting in that point. Like, it'd be funny to read some of those things again.
I don't want to read it because I know my spelling is probably it was horrible. Horrible. Oh, I actually went back and looked on them and I was like, oh my god.
Hyper cringe.
I was like, oh my god. I
now-
could not spell.
I
Try
now
it.
have a project to do. I'm going to have to find Grimm's, and I'm going to have to find Bethany's live journals on the Wayback Machine.
Go ahead. I'm sure it'd
Okay.
be quite interesting to read. For
I
sure.
really don't care. I really
You'll
don't.
watch
I
me-
You
was,
safe, Ams?
Yes, I'm saying
I was
Nothing
such
on
a
to find
depressed
it.
teenager.
I know. One of the animes that I was reviewing was Yakutari Japan, which is one of my favorite animes of all time. It's a anime about a bread baking competition. Sounds boring, but it's like it's crack.
Oh, wow.
But that's anyway.
That
But
sounds
yes,
cute.
feel free to find out.
Oh no,
You should
I
watch it.
was
That's totally cool.
I was such a depressed teen. I didn't look at it, but I was such a depressed teen, and that was my way of like spilling out how I
Aw.
felt and like how the guys that I liked and all. Yeah,
Were you emo?
I know.
Were you emo?
I thought I was. I wasn't.
I think I was for like a second. I think I was.
I thought I was. I wasn't.
I was emo in dress, but not in personality.
Same.
I mean, I had the colored hair back in high school too, so I used to love the goth. Well, so I guess more goth, I guess would probably technically be it, because emo was a little
Yeah.
bit past my generation. But I definitely love the white pasty face with the black lipstick and the dark eyeliner and all that kind of stuff and whatnot from it, and the big clothes.
I was
Yeah.
the sweatshirts and jeans in high school.
Oh, that was me. Yep.
That
there we
was
go. Yes.
I was the sweatshirt and jeans.
Yeah. Melissa Smith
I-
said, was it called Scene? That's what I'm thinking of. More scene type.
Mhm.
Those like, the Hot Topic earrings and the chokers.
I guess
and,
so. I guess that would be Scene, but I thought Scene was later. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like in the
Some-
same
I was-
category.
Exactly, some kind of crack.
Sorry,
or
y'all.
whatnot from it.
Again, I'm old. I was grunge. So, I
Yeah.
had the flannel
No, that's
shirts
cool.
and the t-shirts
Yes,
and the
That's the
jeans
90s.
and-
That's the 90s. And the
It's
Nirvana
okay, I love
and
grunge
the
too, it's
Pearl
okay.
Jam.
Yes,
Yep.
with
You
the
got
flannel
it,
shirt
you got
tied
it.
around the
Oh.
waist.
So
I
y'all
would
may have
wear
had
put it around my waist. Yep.
y'all may have had live journal, but here's the hilarious part. Since even though I'm the youngest, my diaries are physical. I still have one of them too. Like I
Oh,
physically
wow.
wrote down in them. I didn't do anything online because I think I knew. I was just like, yeah, anything I put on there, yeah, it's kind of gonna be there for people to see. So I think I'm gonna like just keep it like locked away in my nightstand just for only me.
The only reason I had the live journals because I had friends that had them and they were like, you should get one, you should do this,
Okay.
it's gonna be so much fun. Because I was also the kid in middle school, where we had a notebook that we would pass around to like a group of friends. We had like
Mhm.
code names so in case if it got lost or something. And we
Oh.
would like cut pictures out of magazines and glue them on top of like the cover and stuff.
Uh-huh. That sounds fun. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of like passing around stuff in school, because I know I did this when with my one of my boyfriends that I had in school, had one of those like foldable notes. You took a piece of paper and you
Yep.
folded it several times over and you just like wrote different things.
The
on
Right.
each
art
little
of note
fold.
passing.
Yep. We got into a science too, so it's just like, there's a different thing on each
Yep.
fold that you
And
opened up.
and each fold it meant something different.
That was before
Yes.
smartphones, man. That was like
Yeah.
how you got through school.
Nice. My Little Ponies.
No, that's for my friend who's being a punk in the chat right now.
Oh. Is this the friend that decided to learn everything about My Little
Mhm.
Pony for
Mhm.
you?
Yeah, she's
Oh
making fun of me for
gosh.
yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
I
Oh
love
But
my
it.
sorry,
gosh, that is
anyway.
hilarious.
So the next one would of course be Facebook. Da da da. I mean,
Yep.
there is the movie about it and all that type of stuff.
Now, is this Facebook like college only at one time, or
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Of course, created in Harvard by Mark Zuckerberg and a bunch of people that I don't feel like naming right now. So I'm sorry, all the other four guys. I'm sure you do very well, but everyone knows Zuckerberg. So of course, just started for only Harvard students. I guess they had like an on-site style thing that they called the Facebook or something of that nature, and they would, have it so that they was like a log of all the students and things of that nature. And then eventually they made it so that Ivy League, and then all universities, and then high school, and then just anyone over 13 years old. It started as something called Face Mash in 2003, which was a hot or not website originally. So you had to say, is this student hot? Is this student not? That whole thing. So it all started out with that. And then Harvard was all like, nope, bitches, and they made them shut it down from it. And then that's when it became a study tool where he decided, no, I want it to make it so that I could keep track of school things and logs and all that stuff. And that's why it was just mostly just universities at the beginning. You had to have those specific emails. I was one of them because I was in college at the time. And I remember that was one of my college classes. It was like, you have to have Facebook. We're going to make the Facebook group so you guys can see the log of whatever is going on from it. And I was like, what's this? I guess I have to do it because it's part of class. And so then eventually they decided to buy, I guess, Facebook as a name because someone else had owned it. And then it became the craziness that it is today. But of course, there's a lot of the controversy because I guess Zuckerberg originally, it was going to be called something else, the HarvardConnection.com. Oh. And then I guess he was stealing the ideas for his Facebook website instead. So he was getting them to give them ideas, but then was like, no bitches, it's all mine.
Started early.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
God.
God.
I remember when I got into to college and I got my college email. I was like, yes, I can get on Facebook.
Yeah, that was definitely the natural progression after MySpace. I kind of left MySpace, and then I went like, okay, I'll go into Facebook. All my friends are going there because you can message, and then you can also post stuff about your life and photos.
Your button board. I remember having like a button board or like a bumper stickers.
I think so. Yeah. Oh,
I mostly got
so
back into it when Farmville was a big thing. I remember Farmville. I got to come to my farm. You got to come to my farm.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember Farmville.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was so long ago. Man.
I loved Farmville. Oh gosh. My farm was huge too.
Mm-hmm.
Like huge.
And yeah, and you had to like set timers. And you had to like set timers so you could get on and like get your crops before they died.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the thing.
Exactly.
I never played it. I remember it though. I remember the ads being all over the place. And like, hey, play it now. It's fun. Okay.
Mm-hmm. No. And the more people you got like money and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. There is actually a town in Virginia called Farmville.
Mm-hmm. I went and visited.
I want to go and buy a farm.
That's actually where Longwood College is.
Oh wow!
I actually went there to look at Longwood when I was applying to colleges. We stayed in this teeny tiny little town called Dansville. Literally a one-stop light, two-stop sign, a few stop signs town, where it still had like the old general store where you could go buy live bait, and they had a church, and then there was further down was the hotel we stayed at, and this town literally closed up at like 8:00, except for the restaurant next to the hotel, and it was definitely a little church town.
Oh wow!
Very quaint.
I'm gonna have to go there and check it out.
I don't know.
I want to go there, and I want to go to Bump Ass.
Yep, we've actually been to Bump Ass before.
Huh?
Yeah, we've been to Bump Ass.
There is a town called Bump Ass.
Bump Ass, Virginia.
I thought.
It's pronounced Bumpus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Manassas was interesting.
Manassas.
Manassas.
Yes, Manassas. Yes.
Dumfries. Oh
Dumb
my
fries.
God.
Dumb fries.
I can't tell you how many times I make fun of those names
Hoodbridge?
as I'm going south into Virginia.
Hood Bridge.
Hoodbridge.
Oh, Hood Bridge or
Falmouth.
Woodbridge.
Falmouth.
And then you have
Mhm.
Occoquan.
Falmouth.
Yeah. Falmouth that everybody calls foul mouth.
Oh my
Falmouth,
God.
yep.
Can't win,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
All these
Oh,
horrible names.
I'm sorry. Go to Pennsylvania. You want some bad names? Go to Pennsylvania. Intercourse.
Oh, yeah.
My
Yeah.
God.
House.
Yes.
Just sandwich in
Yep.
between.
Yep.
Good Lord.
And they're literally like one next to the next.
Oh my God.
That's something that came about with computers because back in the day, we used to have to actually use physical maps.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
I drove for a children's transportation service, and we had to. This was in I want to say 02 that I started there, and I had to drive and pick up kids and take them wherever their parents wanted them to go. It was like a kids' taxi service. I had to pull out my books. I had 6 books of each different area, and I'd pull out my books and I'd map it, and I'd write down my directions on my route sheets. Okay, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to make a left here. And forget traffic maps. I'm sitting there going, okay, I need to have 7 routes around because it's rush hour in Northern Virginia. How the hell do I get out of this?
Oh my God.
And then you had
And
and then
now-
Google Maps. Now Google
Yeah.
then Google. I remember Google
Yeah.
Maps. I'd go in and I'd type in where I was going and I would print it. And I had a stack.
Yep.
I had a
That was-
stack in my car.
Me was
Yep.
MapQuest. MapQuest is the one that I had used
Yep.
before Google Maps.
Yeah, that one too.
Yes.
And that was how, because I figure, okay, if I can get in, I can then just instruct the directions to get out, to get
Yeah.
home. And that's how I learned how to get around.
Exactly. Yeah, it was, and now we have, our cell phones, and I run maps. I go back and forth to work every day. I know my way to and from work, but because of traffic, and I work in Northern Virginia, I run
Mhm.
my map every single day, all the way. And, sometimes it sends me the right direction, and sometimes it says, oh, no, you don't need to go that way. And then you check for the alternate routes, and it goes, yeah, that's 15 minutes quicker. Why the hell are you sending me some way that's 15 minutes slower? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I had to go to training out in Langley, and of course Anna knows where I'm talking about. And I'm on 495, and I just had I had an idea as to where I was going. But I had Google Maps on, and it decided to take me to fucking Tyson's Corner. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh no.
Luckily, I had a pretty good idea, and I was able to scroll back around and get on to 495. And I get to the training, and I'm coming home. I'm like, I am not using Google Maps because it's just get on 495 and go straight down. I was so pissed. And the worst is I had my coworker in the car with me, and she doesn't like
you just
cussing.
have to go with it.
And she doesn't like cussing, and I think I dropped like the F-bomb like twice. I was like, I am so sorry, but this is Tyson's Corner. You know what it's like. It's bad. This is just me traffic. I bit my tongue so many times.
Oh, man. How much blood came
jeez.
out? Ooh.
Oh, I mean, like, Anna knows. Anna knows Tyson's Corner. You have to have tough skin to drive
God.
through Tyson's Corner.
Oh, I remember I've been there like a couple times myself.
Yeah.
Through just Northern Virginia, you have to have tough skin when driving. You can't be scared.
Oh God, no.
There's certain times a year, because I work in Tyson's Corner, like I can walk to Tyson's Mall if I wanted to, and it gets so bad traffic wise down there. Like after Thanksgiving and before Christmas, I hate going down Route 7. I'll leave work and I'll go, okay, what normally takes me 5 minutes to get to, which is usually like 2 blocks, is going to take me 20. I pick up my son every day who works 8 miles away. It takes me 40 minutes to get to him. That's how bad traffic is up there. That's why I run maps all the time, is to get around that shit.
Yep.
So now that we have
And you
diverged away from social media,
Well, I have one more to go over just real quick that I feel is probably one of the other game changers. Well, actually, no, I lied. I have 2, so I'll just go through them real quick. So first one is Instagram. So it started as a mobile check-in app, but that they felt that it was too close to another app called Foursquare. So that's when they added
Mhm.
photo sharing.
I
So
remember
of course
Foursquare.
it's a combo of two words, which is Insta Camera and Telegram. So therefore Instagram, where
I
they
love
kind of came from it.
Instagram.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I love and hate it. It's a garbage app, but I love it. It's a good garbage app. So.
It's a good one.
Here's why. Here's why I hate it, because it works, damn near flawless on mobile. But if you want to try to do anything from your desktop, good luck.
Well, that's
Not
actually the next
happening.
point I was going
Yeah,
to make.
sorry.
In October 6, 2010, it was released only as an app for iPhone through the iOS App Store. And then in April 3rd, 2012, they released it for Android, and it was downloaded over 1 million times in one day, because everyone wanted it who didn't have iPhones, because iPhones was exclusive to one carrier at the time. So of course anyone else had anything else was away from it. And then eventually Facebook bought Instagram, but they did keep the plan of it being kept as two separate entities of itself, even though you can merge the information between it. And then in November of 2012 is when they allowed website access for it. So it was just apps and whatnot, and it is designed specifically as an app. That I guess the demand for website access was created for it, but it's not its original intention. It is meant for a phone app or a tablet app or something of that nature.
Oh, I do love it though. It's really easy to catalog everything on there and put all your photos, some video. I think it's better for photos actually.
Yes.
Obviously the gram part. But I personally use it a lot for my art and stuff, and I just put all my stuff on there. Facebook as my secondary, and I get all my people just see me on there. It's wonderful.
I would agree with that. Instagram definitely is more. I use it because of all the story feeds for everyone that I follow. Everything's on my Quixotic, so you can catch up on people's lives that you follow on the internet because of whatever basic stuff. And of course, it disappears after 24 hours, so it's an easy not having to keep everything of your life up, but you can still kind of communicate with people 24/7 if you really want to. So it's kind of like you have to do it, otherwise you're going to miss out on it. You're never going to see it again, type situation for that person. So it's an interesting platform. Quickly off of...
Go ahead. Yeah, I don't use Instagram very much. A few members of my family do. And every time I get on Instagram, I get frustrated because to me, it's not easy for me to work through. And maybe that's because I'm old. But it just doesn't make sense to me. It's not user friendly to me.
It's all visual. It really is just a visual platform to be able to communicate that way. You're really not communicating with words like Facebook posts or the next one, which is Twitter. It is all photos, videos, bam, bam, bam type stuff. But Twitter actually came out before that. I should have done that one first. So March of 2006, came out. It was started by a broadcasting company called Odeo. At least I think that's how you say it. It even came out with a code name for it for short messaging, so SMS text messaging, which was TWTTR. So you could actually text message in your tweets, which is why it had the 160 character limit so that you can then post and have those things updated.
Oh, okay.
So it was able to, you register your phone number and then you're able to then Twitter real quick and be able to make those tweets, which is its intention. Of course, then they bought their... they had a special short code that they were going to start with 1. I don't know what the purpose of it, but then they made it 40404 afterwards, which was just easier for people to remember. The thing that made the biggest difference was they, I guess, put up 2 screens at South by Southwest Interactive. It was a conference, and on those screens were all the Twitter messages that were popped up with the hashtag. So people were able to go and actually see it and then see everything come through. And they were able to bump up the daily usage from 20K to 60K because people were like, oh, I see what this is now. And then that's when Twitter really just started becoming everything. And now you got Wendy's killing the game with the Twitter game and all that type of stuff and whatnot.
Right. It's so much.
Finding that niche and trying to get people to use it seems to be what's driven certain social medias to the top.
The first time I ever used Twitter was I had read an article where a lady was saying that she had just found this wonderful new app that allowed her to vent her frustrations towards a company, and it actually made a difference because the company ended up reaching out to her. And I had actually had an issue where I had bad service from a company, and I tried it. I was like, what the hell? I'll go ahead and set up one of these Twitter accounts. I had no idea what the hell this thing was. And I went in and I started to write out my complaint. And when I hit the 160 characters, I went, well, shit, I need more room. And I started scrolling through and trying to figure out if I could buy more room because I wanted to vent, even more. So I ended up putting up 4 or 5 tweets venting towards this company. And I was like, yeah, somebody's going to get back to me. And nobody paid a lick of attention because I had no idea how to do the @, and then put the company. That way the company would get notified that it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I think
I
had to probably start the hashtags too. I think all that kind of started all together.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I don't know. Twitter seems like it's more of an old people's platform. But I don't know a lot of the younger people using it, and I don't even use it that often. I have it on there. Russ and RJ use it to stalk people. They just stalk celebrities and see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all I do too. Is I'll go on there and I'll go, oh, so what is this person doing today? Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, whatever. And I'll scroll through and I'll go, okay, fine, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see what somebody's up to. But yeah.
Yeah, I personally don't have.
Do you guys use it?
I don't have Twitter.
I'm
No?
good at Twitter though. I do want to use it as a platform for more art and stuff, reach more people.
Yeah, I have one, but I
Right.
just don't utilize it the way that I do Instagram. Instagram seems to be the platform I like the best.
Yeah.
I still have to figure out Instagram. I don't know. I'm so on to. I hardly ever use, I'm on Facebook, but I'll get through five or 6 posts. Yeah, I'm out of time. I'm just gonna, toss it to the side and jump in, later on.
Mhm.
But that's one thing that is, Facebook feed is just, I don't know how to put it. It forces you to read things and look at things that you're like, I'm not interested in this. Why is this popping up in my feed first?
Oh,
I don't
clickbait.
even pay attention to this very much.
Clickbait.
Oh.
Yeah, all the sponsors and all that type of stuff. Sponsored content. You may like this. Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they've gotten me with a couple of things here and there, but I've actually unfollowed some things because it's just too much. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Yeah, I feel
Mhm.
like it's kind of overwhelming. And when you go onto Facebook, it's kind of like they try to cram too much on there at
Mhm.
once. Like, hey, see this. Hey, see that. Hey, there's this.
I feel like BuzzFeed's really
Right.
bad at clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm like, I'm bored. Why the hell
Yeah,
not?
sometimes it's fun, just to go.
Or some of the videos, the next thing you know, you're watch 2 hours of different videos on Facebook.
I'll do that
No.
with certain ones, like the React channel. I kind of fall. I get
Mhm.
videos, and that's where I get down a dangerous path. But BuzzFeed's one I've unfollowed and haven't gone through. And I really don't watch them anymore since the Try Guys left, so I don't even really follow their content anymore.
Yeah, about the same. So there's this one girl. She's I forget her name, but she was eating different colored foods for a day. So she ate
Oh,
yellow foods per day. They're all different yellow foods, unprocessed, but they're all different vegetables and stuff. There's certain things that just grab me like that. I'm just like, damn it, BuzzFeed, you're still doing it. There's Tasty but
I-
Tasty from BuzzFeed, and I love their videos. So
mhm.
mm.
I
There's a
still love
lady-
the BuzzFeed ladies, or the ladies of BuzzFeed.
That you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about. The 5 girls that are
Yeah.
together. Yeah, Ladylike is what it's called.
Yeah, ladylike. Yeah,
Yeah,
I enjoy
kind of moved
them.
on to their own platform. Still BuzzFeed, but I think they have their own
BuzzFeed.
site. There's
Yeah.
another lady on there that's a BuzzFeed that I sometimes watch. The World's Okayest Mom. She's actually kind of cool
Oh,
too. I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, she's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
She just had another son, I think, not about a couple months ago. So
Mm-hmm.
Now we're sitting here talking about it, and I hear clickbait, I hear BuzzFeed. We've been saying, you have a tweet, stuff like that. the internet and social media especially has created an entirely new verbiage for us. Can you ever imagine when you were young, did you ever, if somebody said, I have to tweet now, wouldn't you be thinking, why do you have to mimic a bird? what are you doing? Why are you standing there going, tweet, tweet, tweet? Yeah.
Well, you have to think language always evolves. Things are different. Catchphrases are different. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and say, we're going to go and see that. I can't think of something like calling a lady a looker or whatever type stuff. And it always adapts, and it's always going to be something different. Like, I can't think of it. Totally radical, younger, dude. There we go. There's one.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, please, I
was younger. It wasn't a hashtag. Yeah. When I was younger, it wasn't a hashtag. It was pound.
It's a pound sign.
For me, it's a shark.
The pound sign.
For me, it's a shark.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's the musician. Yep.
Well, the joke is that the kids look at those old flip phones of the days. So like, you guys had hashtags back then.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh. I used to keep a phone, a rotary dial phone in here in case the power went out, because you can always hook it up to the phone line. And I remember my kids found it down here in the basement one time, and my son looked at it and he goes, what the hell is that? I said, it's a phone. He goes, how do you use it? So I had to show him how to use a rotary phone. Mm-hmm. And it made me think, I was like, oh my gosh, how much other stuff do I have that he's never seen, that neither one of them has seen and have never used? I found a Walkman, a cassette Walkman that still worked. And I pulled it out and I said, here, listen to this. And I put in one of my tapes, which I have a ton of them, started listening. And he was like, oh my gosh, the music actually sounded pretty good back then. I'm like, it's the same music. It's just a different format.
Yeah.
But it does create a whole new way to talk, though, that I don't think anybody ever realized it when the internet was coming about and things like that the verbiage would change that drastically.
We actually like the word selfie, especially.
Yeah.
That was a very
gosh.
That's a huge one. And actually, that's part of even technology, the selfie camera being such a huge thing, of having that front face camera being such a different game. Because people, would be like, take my photo of myself, like with my phone facing this direction.
The actual camera, bringing the camera, like using the actual camera to take a selfie.
I was going to say, have you guys seen the meme of the person like this? Like, I'm taking a photo of myself.
Yeah.
Just a calculator.
So Neuro put up a couple of ones that I didn't think of. Catfish, meme, ghost, fish, hack, troll, cyberbully, emoji, spam, scroller, swipe right. I mean, can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine if somebody told you 20 years ago, swipe right? What? What are you talking about? Swipe?
Why?
Yeah.
Is there a button?
Even there are times where I'm like, wait, like even I'm still like at times like, oh, okay, yeah.
People that use raffle and lol in a sentence.
Yeah. I use lols a lot. What about
and yet no one would have those if it wasn't for the old school.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button and like it. Make sure to like this video.
Yeah,
that's technology.
Yeah. What on earth? Yeah. It's definitely one of those interesting things where there's new phrases every day. Like if you just sit and watch YouTube videos, you'll start picking things up and you're like, wait a minute. Okay. All right. But the world's gotten a lot smaller thanks to the internet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all of us, we all have friends that live across the ocean, live in Germany, live in, Thailand. You can go on, and I was playing pool, one of those pool games, and I was playing people that were in Saudi Arabia. And I'm going, this is really cool, Yeah. But that's what all this technology has gotten us up to, and hopefully it keeps us alive long enough to see what happens next. Yep. I'm curious to see what happens next.
Because of that, we're so focused on looking down, we forget to look up.
True. I agree with you there. We all need to take a break. We definitely all need to take a break from technology every once in a while.
You can't
And
be.
don't be on your phone when you're driving.
Yeah, please don't text and drive.
Yeah,
That's
no
so
doubt.
dangerous.
Please,
That's
please,
so
please
dangerous.
put that phone down. Yes.
And
Mhm.
it's
Oh
so
my
annoying
gosh,
too. When you're behind someone and you're like,
I
no,
won't
they're on their
touch
phone
mine.
because they're braking. They
Mhm.
speed up and then they
Mhm.
slow down. You know they're on the phone.
Or they're doing one of these in and out and in and out and in and out. Yep.
And what I
Yep,
learned
yep.
is
Well,
that.
ladies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say like what I learned
ahead.
is that social media is just not a replacement for human interaction. Although we
Mhm.
have these tools
It's
at our
not.
disposal, it doesn't beat the real thing.
No.
Yep.
Being with you
Yeah,
guys and
not at all.
talking and having that connection is just there's no comparison.
It's way cooler. I
Mhm.
like it much better.
Mhm.
Well, ladies, we have hit the 10 o'clock hour. It is
Mhm.
time to say adieu
And good night.
and
Good night.
good night. Remember to like and subscribe and check us out on audio platforms and review us, please.
Please and
That's
thank
all.
you.
Thank you. Don't forget to look up.
Yeah, don't forget to look up. Don't crash into that wall.